Hey, Matthias. Matthias. I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I'll probably just say dude for most of the video. Uh, but you were saying that you do the atomic, I think it was left hand vertical, right hand horizontal. I call that one the crosshair atom because it's a vertical horizontal. And then if you take that and tilt it, then I call this orientation the tilted atom. And then this one, where you're both vertical, I call those vertical versus vertical atoms. So that's just kind of some terminology that you might hear me use. The crosshair atom and the vertical versus the vertical versus vertical and the crosshair atom have a good, solid relationship. Secretly, they all have a relationship with breaking and bending and stuff, but it's very, very evident correlation. So this is the sweet poker, but it is a octahedron because there's 8 sides, and that's the kind of shape that we're outlining. I don't know if this will come into focus or what, when we're doing 4-pedal anti-spin versus 4-pedal anti-spin brakes. There was, remembering you were saying you're into the brakes, and those are probably the more common ones, and then that crosshair atom that fits perfectly into it. So I don't know exactly where your skill level is, so I'm just going to kind of start with the association there, and then just a couple different ways you can link different moves to kind of come up with bigger patterns and stuff, and how they interact, so that you can kind of, explore this weird thing. So left, right. So right now I have them both spinning where the corner is. They're both spinning towards me, right? So I'm going to turn it sideways. My vertical hand, if I turn, acts just like a normal vertical hand, right? And my horizontal hand, it never changes unless I stall it or bounce it or something. My horizontal hand will always stay spinning in the same direction, right? So it's both of them are spinning towards me at the bottom in that corner where they meet. Then we have one low and one straight out horizontal. Now they're both spinning, boom, towards me at that corner, right? And then we have, how would it be? One high, I can't remember. But the idea is you get a flower there. You can do a flower from this atom. I'll show you from the two directions. So I have them both spinning towards me at the corner. I just do in spin for right now. In spin. I have the horizontal one stays horizontal. The pedal goes low. I got a bug attacking me right now. And then we go back to atom. It's the reverse atom. And then high, horizontal stays horizontal, right? And so you can pause at each one of those points and just kind of get familiar with it. You could do weird shit, like once you're here, caps, over, below. It doesn't really have much of a appearance from one angle, but it does have, like, this is happening from 90 degrees from this. So you have two different ways to present this to an audience. So that's just an idea of some things you can do with this atom here. When I'm turning with this one, both of them moving towards me in that bottom corner, when I'm turning and it goes to the native side, right? This one, my vertical hand goes to the native side, I turn towards it. If I switch the direction of the horizontal one, where now one is going towards you, one is going towards me, I have to move my hand up here to make them move in the same direction. That's something you'll notice about atoms. Get to that in a second. We'll just finish this concept real quick. So I've switched. Now I can do the same appearing circle, flower, but turning the other direction. Oh, tangle. But that's the in-spin flowers, and it's a little slower in-spin versus anti-spin. You can go through those to explore your hand paths and stuff. And it also gives you two versions, because these are different atoms, weirdly enough. Both of them spinning towards you there, in this bottom corner, and then opposing. right? That's two different atoms. Because if I put them like this here, now they're both spinning towards me. That's a different orientation now. So let's go into the weeds a little bit with these crosshair atoms. There are 4. So there's a polarity to an orbit. I don't know, I got some kind of nerdy theory videos about 3D stuff, I'll link them to you. But there's a polarity to an orbit, as in one side's down, this side's spinning up. Or this side's spinning to the left, this is spinning to the right down here. They're opposite of each other, it's polarized, you know, positive, negative. Positive could be spinning towards you, negative could be spinning away from you. Or positive could be spinning towards me and negative could be spinning away from me. It's kind of arbitrary. We just have to remember there's a polarized thing. Side, opposite side, black, white, whatever you want, you know. Just be aware of that idea. So now with these atoms, this vertical one, if I have this spinning like we were just doing the experiment with, both of them are spinning towards me in that corner. If I move it anywhere below this center line, right here, the center of rotation, anywhere, they'll mesh anywhere in this quadrant, right? But if I move it above that line, now they oppose each other and they'll tangle. And the same tangling opposition kind of thing happens if I put it in this quadrant. So there's the two planes, a quadrant down here, well, they'll work. They will always kind of mesh together because they're moving positive and positive are linking. Here, one will be negative while one is positive, so they will clash. Same here. This is the fourth quadrant where negative and negative will be occurring, so they'll mesh. So you have 2 of the 4 quadrants will work for the tethers to interact but not hit each other. So when we were the first one we were doing, both of them spinning towards me in that bottom corner, it's here, the bottom corner. However, wherever, as far forward, as far back, as long as it's in this bottom corner, they'll interact cleanly. Or this corner, I can bring my center of rotation into this quadrant and the tethers will interact effectively, and not mesh. But, so that's where our weaves are. Our weaves are moving our center of rotation from one quadrant to another. There's a thing called the nexus, and the nexus is the point in space where the tethers meet. You know, if you're making a full circle with them where the tethers overlap in their orbit, that's the nexus. So if the nexus is in one of these positive positive or negative negative quadrants, it'll always work. So you can create weave patterns by just going, you know, moving through the different quadrants, and you can pause in these meshing here, 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 here. However you can get your hand into those meshing spots, and then moving between is how you get your different weave patterns. You could do just 2 beats, all of this. So there's one. Then the next atom is, we'll bounce this, so we've reversed the direction. Now my meshing quadrant is up top in this area and down here. So we've inverted where the polarities are meshing by changing the direction of the horizontal. And with crosshair atoms in particular, there's a weird thing because horizontal never changes if I turn 360. So my vertical is in reverse, my vertical is in forward. So really, you can practice all the variables of this atom here by turning 360, because your horizontal will never change. So that's why we were doing those flowers initially, is because that becomes an important drill. Do your forward weaves of whatever variety you prefer, and then do it all in reverse. And you don't have to flower when you're turning like that. You could do linear, you could do just full on extensions across. You know, you could cap style, or cap and then cap back with the point in. Same thing here. You know, on your vertical, you could extend across. You can make them. You could do like a tri-catcher kind of thing. So there's a lot of different stuff to play with there. Now, if we think about, oh, okay, so that's two of the atoms, right? Horizontal spinning in, horizontal spinning out. Both of those practice forward and reverse, right? Now the next set of atoms is this one, where your right hand is horizontal and your left is vertical. And everything we just talked about applies here too. So your weaves, the reverse weaves, turning with different techniques. I bend a little bit so I can show you easier. All the different weird improv stuff. I just did horizontal, which doesn't, I'm sorry, vertical, which doesn't matter. So now, change the direction of the horizontal one so that you can practice all this stuff in both of these atoms. So that's it. That's your four crosshair atoms. Horizontal spinning in, horizontal spinning out, bend, bend, horizontal spinning in, horizontal spinning out. All of those with turns. And that will get you all of your basic crosshair atom stuff. And then it's just a matter of coming up with patterns that look cool in that, you know, and that's a different thing. I feel like I'm already long-winded anyway, but I just wanted to finish with tying this into anti-spin flowers from the atom and your octahedral breaks. So if you are, I don't know what kind of break patterns you're into, if you've seen Randy's capbreak.com or whatever, there's a lot of them. But if you ever find yourself in these two different planes, horizontal and vertical, you can move one so that they connect into an atom, right? If you're breaking in any way, and at some point during that break, right there, boom, you go into horizontal vertical, or the other side. However you get there, you can turn them into atoms. Because you don't have to constantly move. You can lock one out and just bring the other one to it. All sorts of different shit. So now you can you can use breaks to easily get into your crosshair atoms, and then breaks to get out of them into parallel planes or whatever it is. That was more of a bend. But those breaks will also transition pretty seamlessly into your different flowers, your anti-spin flowers, right? So here we go. Instead of doing an in-spin, like I was demonstrating before, I'm just going to do an anti-spin pedal, anti-spin pedal, anti-spin pedal, anti-spin pedal. So you got 4 pedal anti-spin, with there's 4 pedal anti-spin versus 2 pedal in-spin. All of your flower hybrids, everything that you can do with normal flowers and how you hybrid them, you can do that with your crosshair atom and crosshair atom flowers. And those crosshair atom flowers fit perfectly in to that octahedral breaking. And so now you can take moves that you know that are break based and just try to have fun figuring out. It's like transition theory, you know. If your poi are in horizontal, like if a stall is in horizontal, you can figure out a way to make any, you know, you just need the one variable because they're 0 points. So once it's there, you just bring, you know, pull the other poi from wherever it is into a vertical and you're good, you know. So just to kind of tie all this ranting in. Sorry, we'll go one more thing. Vertical versus vertical atoms. So take this crosshair idea and bend it, or just a split. Take two vertical planes, your normal spinning style, bend one of them 90 degrees, or, break one of them 90 degrees. But now you have one vertical, but they're perpendicular to each other. If you just bring your hands together and look straight down, all of the stuff that we were talking about with these, it's happening here. You're just looking at it from the top. To kind of see the way that those four different atoms are related, vertical versus vertical, that's the best way to kind of geek out and understand this shit. I recommend, instead of doing wall and wheel, just face them. Face it at a 45 and think of it as, this is predominantly, it looks like to you, from this point of view, it looks like a split op, but for me it feels like split same. So you'll start to understand these weird relationships. If I pull my poi apart so that they are meeting and making a corner, I'll find that I'm standing inside the box that has that corner. If I turn 90 degrees, I'm standing outside the box that has that corner. Inside, outside again. So I stall one. Now I'm outside the box, but the poi are spinning in a different relationship to each other. Turn 90, I'm back inside the box. Outside again, inside again. So I'm just going to kind of like leave that there for you to explore, but just kind of be aware. And anytime you're breaking, you can break into vertical versus vertical flowers, and all of those weird things we were doing before, like hybrids. Oh, sorry. God damn. Jesus. Well, that was a bad example, but I could practice that and make something cool. So now you can link those vertical versus vertical atoms to your breaks and to your 3D atomic flowers. You can do vertical versus vertical 3D flowers. You can move into a crosshair atom orientation, do more 3D flowers, and then use breaks to transition between those things, or to get back into your normal spinning. I know that was a lot. If you have questions, if I rant too much about something and skip some stuff, just let me know. If none of that is really what you were interested in, then let me know and kind of tell me more about what you would like to learn. I'll link you to some more nerdy theory shit too. All right, have fun, man.